Great to see you here. My name is Luc de Custer, founder of the Custer Academy, and we are talking about uncertainty and risk management. And in this video, I'm going to present you what are the risks over the lifetime of the project, and we will have a look how we can position the different risks. But before we continue, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. Let's have a look. First of all, risk and life cycle. And I'm following what was written in the PMBOK, the 6th edition. It may change in the 7th edition, but I'm not sure of that at this moment. We look at the project management process and we're looking at the different process steps. First of all, we have the initiation. During the project initiation, we have a lack of information. The objectives may still be unclear. We are missing subject matter experts and we don't have a feasibility study. In most of the cases, it's not always the case, but these are the risks that we can expect. During planning, we may have an unclear statement of work or business case. Management support may be lacking, and since we are here in the beginning, the team experience may be limited. Also depends on the cases, but it's what we can expect in general. When we look at execute, monitor, and control, here we can encounter strikes, acts of God, competition, changes, an inadequate control system, risk events happening, and finally, when we look at the closeout, here we can find quality issues. We finish the work, we're sending it over to the customer for approval. People may be leaving the project because we're closing, so some of the people that were on the team will go to other projects. You may lose their experience. It's a thing that you have to take into account. We look at customer acceptance. The people have to accept it. So if you have some issues when you're doing the closeout, you hope that the customer will accept everything. So if you did your work properly, that will be okay. But having a customer signing off, it's always a problem. And of course, we have cash flow issues that are possible because we're at the end of the project, the budgeting is running out and so on. So when we look at this, these are the most important risks that we can encounter over the project management process. We can also have a look at the risks over the project lifecycle. And we see that we have different elements. We have on one side, we have time and risk and the value. The risk will be, in fact, going up, the risks are going down. We may have a higher period of highest risk impact where we see there, because we see the red and the green line going up and down. This is where we will have the problems if something is going wrong. So the value also, when we see towards the end of the project, the value of a risk event will increase because the risk event may cause the work that we have done before to be inadequate, that we have to redo the work. There are all elements linked to that. So at the end of the project, we have a risk. That risk can endanger the entire financial situation of the project. We also talk about waterfall and agile. There is a different way to look at it. Typically, when we look at predictive processes like waterfall, we see that the evolution of risk is increasing over time. Everything is happening at the end. It's exactly what we saw in the previous graph. And it's the moment of truth when we are finishing the project, we're handing over the project, and then we have to see what happens. On the other hand, when we look at an agile and adaptive process, the evolution of the risk is in fact decreasing. The problems decrease because every time we do a sprint, every sprint will have some risks involved, but they're manageable. We can remediate immediately. So that's the difference between the agile process, the waterfall process. Very important to understand how these things work. And of course, we can adjust the waterfall process to avoid this risk level towards the end of the project. When we look at the positioning of the project risks, let's look at the project risks. We can have risks related to integration, where we look at the life cycle and the environment variables. We can have risk elements related to scope, and here we encounter risk or problems, possible issues related to expectations and feasibility. We have the cost. We look at cost objectives and the restraints that are important here. We look at the time, also time objectives and restraints related to time, very important elements to monitor. We have the quality elements. Well, here we look at the requirements and the standards, and we have to be sure that whatever we complete while working on the project, that our deliverables comply with the quality requirements and the standards. We also look at risks related to human resources, and there we look at availability and productivity. When we look at communications, we look at idea, directives, data, and exchange accuracy, all elements that we can manage where we can have a risk element that can influence the project. Procurement, also very important. We look at services, we have the plan, we look at material, and we look at the performance. So basically that was it about this part of risk, the overview of the risks over the life cycle. We looked at risks over time and cost relationships. We looked at agile and waterfall, and we looked at the positioning of the different project risks. Of course, this is the end of this video, but don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.